So with the departure of Aaron Rodgers, I think there are a lot of doubters out there that think that Green Bay don't have a good chance of winning the division. I think they have just as good a chance as anybody to win this division. And a lot of that has to do with what the Packers did this offseason to make their team better, whether it be through the draft, free agency, undrafted free agents. But there's a major upgrade that I think few are talking about, that I think is going to be able to push them to that level near the top. Of course, there's going to be some growing pains. They've got probably one of the youngest rosters, if not the youngest roster in the league. So there's going to be some growing pains and some hiccups along the way. I don't think it's going to be easy road to get there, but I think one of the positions on the field that's going to help them get there. And I'm super pumped about seeing the 53-man roster and what they were able to do with that 53-man roster by retaining six guys on the edge. I love it. I think that is going to be the key to their success. The season is defensively on the edge, how much pressure they're putting in on the quarterback. Are they be able to just, cut off the edge? From any sweeps or anything. So let's talk about that. Let's get into who the Packers kept. I think it was brilliant what they were able to do. We'll start with Justin Hollins. Justin Hollins, a guy that he's not going to give you that wow factor. However, he is going to be that veteran presence. Again, we're talking about a young team. So Justin Hollins, he's been with the Rams, he's been with a couple of teams. So I think that his veteran presence there, we already know what he can bring to the field. Again, he doesn't just, he doesn't give you that wow factor. However, he does provide some really big plays. And then other plays, it feels like he takes some off. But I think he's going to be relatively consistent. He's going to be able to give these guys on the edge a breather, come in and perform, not give up anything key. But next, let's hit on Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary, the fact that this guy is going to be playing week one, probably not significant playing time, but the fact that we're even talking about that and not like week six that everybody thought about, I think that is just a testament of his work ethic, how well, you just, we talked about it in a few videos ago, just Rashawn Gary's work ethic. And the guy doesn't just practice hard, he plays hard. He's the guy that you want out there on the field. He's making guys around him better. One of those guys is going to be a guy we're going to be talking about next. And I think, Kingsley Egnigbari, aka JJ, this guy, I think he's learned a lot from Gary. But the growth that Kingsley has this season as opposed to last, the growth that you've seen is just instrumental. I think Gary has a lot to play in that from what I've read. So just with Hollins, Gary, Kingsley, and then you've got Brenton Cox Jr. Brenton Cox Jr., let's just real quickly talk about, there's three guys on this 53-man roster that were undrafted free agents, and I love it. Brenton Cox being one of them. Why was he undrafted? I mean, this guy should have gone second, third round. I mean, that's when he was projected to go. But with all of his off-field stuff, whether it was at Florida and then, Georgia, whatever, he had so much off-field stuff. I'm glad that Packers were willing to take a chance on him, and he showed why in preseason. Obviously, he saw a lot of playing time. He got a lot of reps. So I mean, but his stats, I think he had like 7 pressures on the quarterback. He had a couple of QB hits. One of them resulted in an interception. Whatever. This dude, he performs, and he shows why he was going to be a second or third round projection. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise that he had all of that off-season crap that the Packers were able to, get him as an undrafted free agent. So really love what the Packers did there. He's showing why he is so good. I really hope that he stays out of trouble because he's going to be a starter in the NFL for sure. Lucas Van Ness, their number one draft pick. They retain him, obviously. This guy, I think we're going to see a lot of growth out of him. Might not be this year, but I think we're going to see some stuff from him Probably more towards the tail end of the season. Preston Smith, nobody even needs to even say anything about Preston Smith. We already know what we got there. But I think that right there is going to be just the upgrade that you were talking about from last year to this year. That edge is going to be key to their success this season. And of course, there are those question marks like at safety that we'll talk about real briefly. But I just wanted to highlight their line, the edge. I think it's such a dramatic improvement from last season to this season. And you've got guys like Brenton Cox being part of that, and the growth of JJ. And then you got young rookie like Lucas Van Ness out there. So last year to this year, we're going to see it out on the field. Major upgrade from last year to this season. So let's go over real quickly a couple of the things that I thought were just surprises to some. I was super ecstatic about it because I thought Emmanuel Wilson should have made that roster. I thought he performed so well. He proved himself. I mean, that's the whole point of practice and preseason is to go out there and showcase your stuff. Emmanuel Wilson does that. Undrafted free agent, as we all know. He's able to go out there, showcase what he can do in this league. I think it's brilliant. I love it. We know that Aaron Jones is not going to be around for forever. So maybe Emmanuel Wilson, is that diamond in the rough. He shines. I love that they retain him on the 53-man roster. At wide receiver, we'll just highlight the wows of this. Malik Heath, another guy, undrafted free agent out of Ole Miss. This guy turned heads. Not a surprise that he makes this 53-man roster. In fact, so much so that I think we're going to be able to see him play week one with Dobbs and I think Wicks. They both have hamstring injuries, and who knows whether they're going to be able to make it and play for week one versus Chicago. So Malik Heath could be this undrafted free agent that's seeing some playing time come week one in the NFL. So I really love what he was able to do and perform in preseason, and he showcases this stuff, and rightfully so makes the 53-man roster. Another highlight on the offensive line. I mean, other than the fact that they retained 11 offensive linemen, not too surprised there. But let's see here, Luke Tenuta. Obviously, this guy is going to be put on the IR. They didn't have. I think they didn't sign a long snapper. So the Matt Warzak, they didn't sign him with the intent that because this guy is a vested veteran, meaning they won't have to put him through the waivers and they can easily resign him come tomorrow. So they'll put Tenuta on the IR. Not surprised by that at all. Them keeping the 11, so they get to keep the rights to Tenuta, putting him on the IR. Another highlight I think that was worth mentioning is safety Anthony Johnson Jr. I really love this dude. He's so versatile. Doesn't surprise me that they, parted ways with Travarius Moore, but I think Anthony Johnson Jr. is going to show why. And in fact, should we get an injury at safety or at corner or somewhere where we become a little bit depleted, Anthony Johnson Jr. is going to be that guy to step in there and be able to showcase what he can do as well. Anyways, that's it. That's all I got. I'm sure you guys have all looked over the roster. I just wanted to hit one of the major upgrades from last year to this, which is the edge. I'm super excited about it. I'm sure you guys are as well. Go Pack.